All right, ready to dive deep into some ancient wisdom.
Sounds fun. Let's do it.
It might just blow your mind. We're going to explore the Four Agreements today.
Yes. By Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah, that's the one.
Classic.
It's this incredible book all about breaking free from self-limiting beliefs and finding, true happiness.
It's amazing. All based on Toltec wisdom, too.
Exactly. And it's surprising. You might be surprised how relevant this ancient stuff is to your life. Like today, even today.
Yeah, it's so true. It's fascinating how Ruiz takes these ancient Toltec concepts.
Right.
And he makes them so applicable to modern life.
I know. It's wild.
It is.
The book starts with this idea of the dream of the planet.
Oh, yeah, the dream of the planet.
Like we're all born into this massive shared dream filled with rules and beliefs, that we're taught from childhood.
Yeah.
But what if those rules are actually limiting us?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like we're domesticated, trained like pets to fit into this dream.
Wow.
I know. Ruiz actually calls it domestication. And really shapes how we see the world and ultimately limits our freedom.
Yeah.
Think about it. Have you ever felt pressure to conform to certain, beliefs or behaviors?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even squashing your true self to fit in.
Totally.
That's domestication in action.
Wow.
Right.
So all of that leads to what Ruiz calls the mitote, this constant inner chatter of judgments and fears. It's like having a room full of monkeys, each shouting its own opinion.
Yeah, it's chaos.
I know. And it makes it almost impossible to hear your own inner voice.
Exactly. And that's where, the Four Agreements come in. They're like tools to break free from that domestication.
Okay.
Quiet those monkeys,
Right.
and reclaim your personal power.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's almost like we've been poisoned by all that domestication. Mm-hmm. Carrying around a heavy load of negativity and limiting beliefs. But the Four Agreements, they're the antidote.
They are.
So let's jump in. Let's jump into the first agreement.
Okay.
Be impeccable with your word.
Yes.
Now, this sounds simple enough, right? Yeah. But I bet you'll be surprised by how much power our words truly have.
Oh, for sure. Ruiz actually calls the word pure magic because it has a power to create and destroy.
Wow.
I know, right? Think about how a kind word can make someone's day.
Oh, absolutely.
But a harsh word can leave a lasting wound.
Yeah.
So it's powerful.
That is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
He even tells this story about a mother who unintentionally casts a spell on her daughter with her words.
Oof.
She comes home stressed, and she just tells her daughter, "Shut up, you have an ugly voice."
Oh, wow.
And tragically, the daughter internalizes this and stops singing, even though she had this, beautiful voice.
It's a powerful reminder of how much weight our words carry.
Yeah.
Especially for children, We shape their realities with what we say. It makes you think about how we use words in our own lives.
Totally. And it's not just about the words we say to others,
right,
but also the words we say to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
That inner critic can be pretty harsh.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being impeccable with your word means choosing to speak truthfully, kindly, and consciously, both to yourself and others.
Right.
Yeah. It's about recognizing the power of your words and using them to create beauty and love, not destruction and pain.
God, that's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
So we're being mindful of the magic of our words, how they can shape our reality and the reality of those around us.
Exactly. And that mindfulness is crucial for the second agreement as well.
Okay.
Don't take anything personally. Now this one can be a real game changer. This
is about understanding that other people's actions and words are more about them than they are about you.
Right.
Imagine you're working on a project and a colleague gives you some harsh feedback. How can not taking it personally help you navigate that situation?
It can help you separate the feedback from your sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
Their words might be coming from their own stress, insecurities.
Okay.
Or even their mitote.
Right. Yeah. So instead of letting their words create a storm in your mind, you can choose to see them as a reflection of their internal world, not a judgment on you.
Exactly.
You mentioned their mitote, which is interesting because it ties into the Toltec path to freedom, right?
Yeah.
This idea of a parasite that infects our minds
It's
with judgment and negativity.
Exactly. Ruiz uses that metaphor of a parasite to describe the judge, the victim, and our limiting belief system.
Wow.
All the things that like hold us back. And when we take things personally, we're essentially feeding that parasite, giving it power over us.
Oh, it's almost like choosing to pick up a piece of garbage someone throws at you and carrying it around all day.
Totally.
You wouldn't do that.
No.
So why do we do it with like negativity and criticism?
Right. It's a habit. It's a habit we get into. And breaking free from that habit is incredibly liberating. It frees you from needing like approval or validation from others.
Right.
And it helps you stay grounded in your own journey without being derailed by, other people's dramas.
So it's about taking back your power.
Yes.
Realizing you have a choice in how you react to things, even when it like feels personal.
Precisely. And that sense of choice leads us beautifully into the third agreement.
Yeah.
Don't make assumptions.
Yes.
Assumptions are like those pesky little gremlins that love to stir up trouble.
I love that. They really are.
I know, right?
Ruiz, he uses this hilarious example of a guy who develops a whole fantasy relationship in his head based on a single smile.
Oh, no. From a woman he sees at the mall.
I know, right?
Talk about jumping to conclusions.
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself doing like something similar?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe like creating a whole story based on a single interaction or like a passing comment?
All the time. We all do it. It's so tempting to like, fill in the blanks when we don't have all the information.
Right.
But assumptions often lead to misunderstandings and conflicts because, we're basing our reactions on like incomplete or even inaccurate information.
Totally. It's like we're building a house on a foundation of sand.
Exactly.
And it's interesting to think about how the judge from the Toltec Path to Freedom plays a role in assumptions.
Yeah.
We often assume the worst, criticize ourselves and others, and create all this like unnecessary drama.
You hit the nail on the head. The judge thrives on assumptions, fueling our like negative self-talk and creating conflict in our relationships.
So, instead of assuming, Ruiz encourages us to ask questions and communicate clearly. It's about having the courage to say, hey, I'm not sure I understand. Can you explain that to me?
Which can be a lot less painful than the drama that unfolds when we act on assumptions.
For sure.
It's like choosing to build that house on solid ground instead of shifting sand.
Exactly. A much better foundation.
Much better.
It really is. It's like building that better foundation for our thoughts and actions. And that foundation of clear communication is essential for the fourth agreement.
Okay.
Always do your best.
Always do your best.
This one might seem kind of obvious at first, but this is where the rubber meets the road.
This is where it all comes together.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that our best is going to fluctuate from day to day, and that's perfectly okay.
Exactly.
Some days our best is going to be superhuman, and some days it's going to be, getting out of bed, and that's okay too.
Exactly. Ruiz isn't advocating for perfection or anything.
Right.
He's emphasizing genuine effort without the burden of like judgment or self-criticism.
Right.
It reminds me of that story about the man asking the Buddhist master, how long it takes to reach enlightenment if he meditates for 4 hours a day.
Right.
And the master says 10 years.
10 years.
And a man thinks he's found like a shortcut, and he's like, what if I meditate for 8 hours a day?
Right.
And the master replies, 20 years.
20 years.
Because it's not about pushing ourselves to the breaking point.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where we're challenging ourselves, but not burning out.
Right.
Where we're, present and authentic in all areas of our lives.
It's so true. It's fascinating how each of these agreements seems to tie back to that idea of the parasite and the Toltec path to freedom.
You're right.
Yeah.
When we're striving for that perfection, that inner judge is running rampant. But when we simply focus on doing our best, we silence that judgment and we tap into a deeper sense of self-acceptance.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be human.
Exactly.
Flaws and all.
Yeah.
Which is a great segue into this idea of creating heaven on earth.
Yes.
Ruiz talks about this beautiful vision of experiencing deep peace and joy right here, right now.
It's not about some far-off place or afterlife or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that state of bliss within ourselves.
Right.
and allowing it to radiate outward.
Beautiful.
And the key to unlocking this heaven on earth, Ruiz says, is love.
That makes total sense when we're feeling love, whether it's for ourselves, for others, even for nature. There's this like natural feeling of happiness and connection. It's like love is the frequency that aligns us with joy.
It is.
But in a world that can feel so full of, negativity, how do we cultivate that kind of love consistently?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ruiz suggests it starts with shifting our perception, with making a conscious choice to see the world through the lens of love rather than fear.
Right.
It's about using our imagination to visualize ourselves living in this heaven on earth,
Yeah.
Can you imagine a life free from judgment, fear, the constant need for approval?
It sounds incredible. And I love that story that Ruiz tells about the old man who radiates light and love.
It's beautiful.
He explains that his teacher had given him this flame of love, which grew into this powerful fire within his heart.
And that fire purified everything it touched. It transformed his emotions.
Wow.
And it connected him to everything around him. He put a piece of his love into the trees, the flowers, the animals, the water, the air, the stars.
Wow.
Even other humans.
That's so beautiful.
It's such a beautiful illustration of the transformative power of love.
Yeah.
Showing us that it's possible to live in a state of constant bliss by choosing to see love in everything and everyone.
It reminds us that love isn't something we find outside of ourselves.
Right.
But something we cultivate within. Exactly.
But I imagine it's not always easy, right?
No, it's not.
We've got all these old agreements and beliefs that can block us from experiencing that kind of unconditional love.
You're absolutely right. And that's where the 4 agreements come in.
Go ahead.
They act like tools to clear away the mental and emotional clutter that's preventing us from connecting to our true selves, to our hearts.
So by being impeccable with our word, not taking things personally, not making assumptions, and always doing our best, we're creating space for love to flourish.
Exactly.
We're breaking down those walls of fear and judgment that keep us separate and isolated.
And in that space of openness and vulnerability, true connection and happiness can emerge.
That's beautiful. Think about the last time you felt truly loved and accepted.
Yeah.
Remember that feeling of warmth, joy, and expansion? That's a taste of heaven on earth.
It is.
It makes me wonder, if we're so capable of experiencing this kind of love and joy, why do we so often settle for less? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it is that we get stuck in old patterns and beliefs. We forget that we have a choice.
Yeah.
But the 4 agreements is a powerful reminder that we can choose differently. We can choose love.
Yeah.
We can choose happiness.
And it's not about being perfect or pretending to be happy all the time.
Right.
It's about accepting ourselves' flaws and all.
Yeah.
And choosing to focus on the good, on the beauty that surrounds us. It's about remembering that we're all connected and that love is the most powerful force in the universe.
Exactly. And Ruiz even includes some beautiful prayers in the book that can help us connect with that love and cultivate inner peace. They're like affirmations that remind us of our inherent worthiness and our connection to something greater than ourselves.
Right.
It can be a real source of comfort and strength.
Yeah. I bet.
When we're feeling lost or overwhelmed.
Which is so important because this journey of personal growth can be challenging at times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are going to be times when we fall back into old patterns.
Right.
When we break our agreements, when that parasite tries to make a comeback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that transformation is a process.
Yeah.
Not a quick fix.
Right.
It takes commitment and effort. And there will be setbacks.
Of course.
But the key is to be kind to ourselves, acknowledge our efforts, and keep coming back to the agreements, even when it feels challenging.
It's like learning a new skill. We wouldn't expect to master playing the piano overnight.
No.
It takes practice, patience, and a willingness to make mistakes along the way.
Exactly. And just like with any skill, the more we practice the 4 agreements, the more natural they become.
They become more like second nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we practice, we start to see the world differently. The fog of negativity and judgment begins to clear, and we start to see the beauty and love that were always there, just hidden beneath the surface.
It's like waking up from a long sleep and finally seeing the world with fresh eyes.
And that's the real magic of the 4 agreements. It's not about achieving some perfect state.
Right.
It's about embracing the messy, imperfect beauty of being human.
I love that.
It's about freeing ourselves from the self-imposed limitations that prevent us from experiencing true happiness and love.
Yeah.
And it's about creating a world where we can all live in harmony, respect, and understanding.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is.
And it all starts with us. With each individual choosing to make those small shifts in their thinking and behavior, it's inspiring to think about, the ripple effect we can create by just focusing on our own personal growth.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people listening might be wondering, how do we actually start, putting these agreements into practice?
Right.
It's one thing to talk about them, but how do we,
how do we integrate them into our daily lives?
Exactly.
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Ruiz really emphasizes that. It's an ongoing practice. It's a journey, not a destination.
It's like learning a new language.
Right.
You don't become fluent overnight.
Exactly.
It takes time and patience and, a willingness to make mistakes along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there will be times when we stumble,
Yeah.
when we break our agreements, when that parasite tries to creep back in.
Right.
But the important thing is to not get discouraged.
So what would you say to someone who's, feeling overwhelmed by the idea of trying to implement, all 4 agreements at once?
I would say start small.
Okay.
Focus on one agreement at a time.
Okay.
Maybe this week you choose to be extra mindful of your words.
Right.
Noticing how they impact yourself and others. Or perhaps you decide to, challenge yourself to catch those assumptions.
Right.
Before they spiral out of control.
It's about making those small conscious choices throughout the day.
Exactly.
Like pausing before reacting to a stressful situation. Or taking a deep breath before speaking when you're feeling angry or upset.
Those little shifts in our thinking and behavior, they can have a huge impact over time. They create a ripple effect that can transform our relationships, our work, even our health and well-being.
And as we practice these agreements, we start to experience the world in a whole new way.
We do.
It's like that fog of negativity and judgment starts to lift.
Yes.
And we can finally see the beauty and love that was always there.
It was always there.
We become more present, more compassionate, more resilient.
Absolutely.
We start to tap into that inner peace and joy that Ruiz describes as heaven on earth.
It's a beautiful thing.
It sounds like this journey is about so much more.
Yeah.
Than just following a set of rules.
It is.
It's about rediscovering who we truly are at our core.
Got it. It's about shedding those layers of domestication and limiting beliefs.
Right.
And stepping into our authentic selves.
I love that.
It's about reclaiming our personal power and creating a life that aligns with our deepest values.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 4 agreements, I'd love to leave our listeners with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
If you could design your own personal dream, your own version of heaven on earth, what would it look like? What beliefs, values, and actions would you choose to embody?
That's a powerful question. And I encourage everyone listening to take some time to really sit with that.
Yeah.
To envision the life they want to create. A life filled with authenticity, love, and joy.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep sharing your unique light with the world.
Because when we each do our part to create a little bit of heaven right here, right now, we make the world a brighter place for everyone.